If you haven't noticed, it is the holiday season, right smack dab in the middle of it. We celebrated the solstice on Friday evening. The actual solstice was at 10 after 4 in the morning yesterday, so it is now officially winter time. And I got to put in the asterisk there, in the northern hemisphere, because Benjamin is joining us from the southern hemisphere where it's not. It just started to be summer there. But that's also a reminder of the perspective that we can have. Where we are affects the way that we look at things. The talk today is about the spirit of giving. And in the spirit of giving, we went on a family outing yesterday to the dollar store. And the reason that we went to the dollar store was to buy gift wrap. And by the way, you know how much stuff costs at the dollar store now? $1.25. Just saying. But the reason to go to the dollar store to get gift wrap is because gift wrap is the ultimate of the temporary purchase. Gift wrap is designed to not last until the person has the thing that you actually want them to have. It is gay and festive and wonderful, and it goes away instantaneously, and we all have those relatives who like fold up the gift wrap like they're going to use it again, and some of them maybe do, but probably just throw it away neatly later on. And it brought to mind the thought of things that are the opposite of the dollar store purchases, which are the forever items that we own, the heirlooms, the things that have been in our lives for a long time and have tremendous meaning. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about what are the heirloom items in my life. And probably my favorite one is the dining room set that we have, that my mother gave to me and Dina the summer after we were married. It is teak, it is beautiful, mid-century modern. It was new when we got it. It's turning into an antique all on its own. And it is wonderful to have and just a cherished memory. It is the opposite of gift wrap. There's a brass and glass birdcage lamp that was in the house that Dina grew up in, which was noteworthy and beautiful, that we still have, and that I've refurbished once or twice, and it's cherished. It's the opposite of a temporary sort of a thing. And actually, I was talking to Dina about this before the celebration began, and the other thing that we both thought of is the crystal glassware that I inherited from my parents, which they used for celebrations, which means not very often. And we use for celebrations even less often. So we don't actually take it out and use it, but it's nice to have. It's the Val Saint-Lambert crystal. And it's nice to know that my brothers have some of the same set. But the spirit of giving, for a lot of people, it's about shopping excess, which is listing shopping, buying, wrapping, and then giving. And in the holiday season, especially if you're watching TV and the advertising and following along with the whole commercial aspect, it's about presents. With a presents, we give each other presents, and that's valuable, and it's wonderful. And something that's even more important is giving presence, presence, the presence of ourselves, to be present to the people who we're with, because when we give our presence, we're giving the gift of ourselves. You're giving the gift of you. And the interesting thing is that everybody in the world wants to be seen. They want to be seen and understood and acknowledged and accepted for who and what they are. And we're all different. We're all different. I asked a question before as we were doing the tech run through before. How many human beings have ever lived on Earth? We know that there are 8 billion thereabouts, so we're alive now. How many have been here ever total throughout history? And it's about 110 billion. I mean, it's an estimate, so people don't particularly know. With 110 souls who have made their way through this project called Life on Earth, we all want the same thing. We all want to be seen. We all want to be loved. We all want to be happy. We all want to feel safe. And we can look at that through the hierarchy of needs and how our needs are being met, etc., etc. And there's a possibility, when we're engaging with any of those other humans, to do so in a way that brings more good, more joy, more uplift into their lives. And out of the 8 billion who are currently alive on the planet, who's the best? And how would you decide who's the best? If you say the person with the most money, nope, I'm going to argue with you on that one. Especially since everybody now knows who the one with the most money is, and not making, on the naughty or nice list, not clear where that one's going to land. Is it the one with the most Instagram followers? Well, the people with a lot of Instagram followers might think that that would be good, but maybe not. Jeff, is it the person with the longest successful Broadway career? Is that the best human? That's a good category to put it in. Maybe that's the case, or maybe that's not. Is the person with the biggest charity? The person with the biggest army? The important part is that we are not here to decide who is the best other person in the world. Our opportunity is to be present with the people who we're with and to open a channel and allow more love to come into the world. So there's a notion of the 5 love languages, and this is Gary Chapman, wrote a book about this and is doing a whole thing about it. And it turns out that people have different ways of expressing and experiencing love. And he identified 5 different ways that people express and experience love. And I'll go through the list for you right now. The first is words of affirmation, and Benjamin has put them into the chat. Words of affirmation, which is speaking positively about the person who you're with. Quality time, which is no distractions, just let's have it be us and be focused on us. The third one is physical touch, so hugs, caresses, holding hands, that sort of thing. The fourth one is acts of service, doing something to be of help and assistance and support to the person who you're with. And the other one is gifts. People feel loved when they receive gifts. And those are all important, and they're all valuable. And by the way, everybody likes all of those things to different degrees. But the fun part is, if you have a love language that's different than the love language of the person that you're with, you are probably going to inadvertently give them the gift that you would like to get and speak to them in the love language that you like to experience rather than the one that they want. And yes, there is a word for understanding how something's going to land on somebody else, and that's empathy. So to have the understanding of how it's going to land, is that person who I'm engaging with, who I'm being present with, are they looking for words of affirmation? Does that make them feel loved and felt and filled? Are they looking for quality time from me, where I'm not thinking about anything else and I'm just going to be there? We don't have to do anything, just to be present with each other. Is it physical touch? Is it a hug? Is it a caress or a kiss? Is it acts of service? Is there something that I can do for them? Maybe it's rubbing their feet. Maybe it's picking up laundry. Maybe it's doing something different. Or a gift. Stop at the store and, oh, I thought of you and I brought this thing back for you. And they're all valuable, and they're all wonderful, and they're all very important. And understanding what our love language is lets us understand when it is that we're getting something that we like. And understanding the other love languages lets us identify, so maybe somebody's given us something they're mean well, it's just not particularly helping. So understanding our love language and the love language of the person who we're engaged with can be tremendously helpful. And as I went through the list, you probably thought, oh, I know what mine is. And you might be correct, and you might be mistaken. And fortunately, there's a quiz that you can take. It's a series of simple, do you prefer this or that questions. And the link to the quiz is in the chat as well. And you go through and take the quiz, and it will tell you what your love language is. And for most people, there's one that comes in really strong. And for some people, there's a strong one and the secondary one. And they're all valuable. But if you have a loved one, especially a loved one who you have been knocking heads with a little bit, ask them to do the quiz too. And see where you come up with, what you come up with on the love languages. And sometimes there's even some nuance that's involved in that. For example, if you have two people who enjoy recreational activities, and I'm going to use as an example my son-in-law and me. So he enjoys recreational activities and he likes bowling. And I enjoy recreational activities and I like swimming. And if I were to be swimming and you were to give me a bowling ball, that would not help. That would not be helpful. So it's about understanding the big picture and what's going on. And we can all do it. We all have the ability to let go of our attachment to things being for others the way that we experience them for ourselves. And we can also get curious. How do we value people's gifts? Because everybody has a unique combination of gifts and talents and skills and abilities and perspectives that they bring. There are 8 billion of us on a planet right now, and no two are occupying the same space at the same time. Even in the busiest cities, the people who are right next to each other are only next to each other. The space is different. The experience is different. So you have a gift. You have a gift that you're bringing to the world. You have a bright light that you are shining into the world. And it is in a manner that can be valuable to the people around you. Maybe there's something innovative. There's something new that you're bringing into the world. Maybe it is a spirit of helpfulness, of being able to contribute and support somebody else. They've come up with something new and you can get on board with them. Our friend Daniel Nahmod has a song, the last song. And one of the phrases in it is the world a little bit brighter, oceans and skies a little more blue? What have I done to make the world a little bit better, the oceans and skies a little more blue? And he gives a bunch of examples in the song, and there's one of them that always makes me tear up. And maybe there's one of them that makes you tear up as well, and maybe it's a different one. In fact, I'd go as far as to say probably it's a different one. But what's the gift that you're bringing into the world? What is that goodness that you are offering up? So I had an interesting perspective that came up for me in the last couple of weeks. And one of the people who brought some wonderful helpfulness and innovation into the world that had a direct impact on me is Dr. James Lingman, who I had never heard of before and who you probably have never heard of before. He is at the Indiana University Department of Urology. And in 1999 or 1998, he went to New Zealand, where a couple of doctors there had come up with a procedure for prostate surgery, which had been done with knives up until then, and mostly is still being done with knives. And they figured out a way to do it with lasers. And I don't care at all about this, except somebody I know had the knife-based procedure a few months back, and it was a very uncomfortable recuperation. And I happened to get the similar procedure a few weeks back, and apparently only 5% of the procedures done in the United States out of 150,000 a year use the laser. And it was fabulous. I'm 99% recovered right now, back into all of my activities and so forth. And for me, that's transformational. So I find Dr. James Lingman, who brought that technique to the United States, to be one of my better angels. And Dr. Giraldi, who learned how to do the procedure, because apparently it takes a lot of practice before you get to do this, to be very helpful as well. And no, I'm not going to go into any details about the surgery, because it's surgery. They're only the people who like to hear about that stuff, mostly are surgeons. So there is somebody bringing good into the world on behalf of you, speaking whatever your love language is. There is a way that you can bring more good into the world by finding out what the love language is of somebody who's close to you or important to you, and doing that. And be present. You can give somebody a present. That festive gift wrap that you tear up and throw away that came from the $1.25 store, that's fine. It has a purpose. It has its moment. It has its time. But being present for somebody, going the extra mile to understand what it is that makes them feel seen and heard and loved and acknowledged, and then doing that is a way to bring more love into the world. And oh, by the way, it's one of the fun things that Gary Chapman points out, is that once you find out somebody's love language, it's really easy to do something that speaks their language. And it's the sort of thing that will land very powerfully. So I encourage you to give it a try. Again, the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. Be present for somebody. Be that gift. Be the better angel. Invite your better angel into the world to share something wonderful through and as and for you. And there's a song that shows up on the radio, or I guess probably on Spotify this time of year. And in several of the New Thought communities I was part of, every week we ended with the same song. They just call it the peace song. And the line in there is, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." Let there be peace on earth. Who's in favor of peace on earth? Show of hands. Okay, everybody says, yeah, I'm in favor of peace on earth. Is there something you're willing to change? Is there something you're willing to do? Is there some shift that you're willing to take? It might be exactly what you think it ought to be. It might be that everybody has to do what you've been saying they should do, and then there will be peace on earth, and that would be just fine. And perhaps you are handing a bowling ball to a swimmer. Perhaps there is something that you can bring to the world, some way that you can share yourself, that you can be present, and let it begin with you. Because peace and love and harmony are those things that they don't divide up. You don't take some love and divide it in two. You take some love and you divide it in two, and it winds up multiplying. Because now there's more love in the world. And the same thing with peace and harmony. It goes a long way. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with each of us. Invite in that love, invite in that goodness, be that gift, and let the spirit of giving this holiday season be the gift that you are. Because the world deserves that gift. And you are a blessing. And so it is.